Welcome to Quick Quirky Commentary, though I guess this one should be more accurately called Raving Reviews because I loved this episode. For once, Interview with the Vampire was not... mediocre is the word that comes to mind. A mediocre copy of what we expected it to be. No, Interview with the Vampire, episode 4, was fantastic. It was strong. It was so well written and so well acted, and Claudia is beautiful and terrible, and she is my favorite character. They handled her transition from child, well, we say child loosely, she's 14, she's not 4 years old, or 12, which Kirsten Dunst was in the movie. No, they handled her transition very well, and even though she comes across as a little bit manic once she's turned, that's what a teenager is. They're flighty, they're excitable. They did it so well. The only difference could be, or the only problem would be, like, she was human, so she's old enough to have memories as a human and perhaps some of those same hang-ups, but when she's turned, she doesn't seem to. So is there really that big of a difference between the unturned mind and the turned mind? Because Louis didn't seem to have a huge difference once he was turned. He didn't change his patterns that much. Now, we don't know about Lestat so far, but he's always been a callous bastard, especially in this episode. So this one is more resembling the novel because Lestat turns Claudia for Louis. That's how he keeps saying, oh, I turned her for you to use as a pawn against him. This one, they do see more affection. He does care, but you can also tell there's that disconnect in how he interacts with her. Now, Louis, obviously, she's his daughter. And here's another issue. Well, not an issue. I think I used the word issue too much. So as 14, how many years have passed? They say 18, 19 when she's with Charlie. She's got that first blush of romance and love and longing. And she's growing up and wanting, the sexual awakening. But with Louis' mother's death and the sisters, they don't do the aging makeup with the other characters. How many years have passed? How quick are all these things happening? Because Claudia is talking about how old she's growing. Why isn't she growing older? But being 14, would she notice such a change physically than she would when she's 4? Because that's half the anger and resentment towards Louis and Lestat, because she very much resented both of them, is that she could not grow old. She could not take care of herself. In this way, taking that first love and the epic tragedy that happens, no spoilers, well, a little bit spoilers, but no spoilers. She collapses, and it's almost like a descent into madness with this character. And I know from the book, she wanted to become a woman, so she killed and then hid the bodies to keep admiring those feminine adult forms. In this, it's like she's just snapped. Is she going to become a serial killer? Because without giving too much away, if you haven't seen the trailer for the next episode, she starts collecting body parts. Oh, look, I gave it away. So, how mental... what big mental break happened from her murdering her first love and then what happens next? Because was it the loss of that love? The lack of Lestat making him a vampire to be with her? What happens in the novels, as anyone who's seen the movie, she turns on them. So how does this go about? I'm very curious to see which track they take, because obviously they veered way left from what we was expecting. And in some cases it hasn't quite worked, and it's kind of like, in this case it works, because I think now the TV show is standing strong on its own. It's becoming its own identity, which 4 episodes in, okay, yeah, that does work. We can separate it from what we expect. But can they maintain this strength? Because we could veer back into the territory where if they go too far from what the viewer and audience expects, that's just going to be a huge disappointment, and it can really turn the audience off. But I was really impressed with Claudia. I was really impressed with this episode. It kind of stands alone as its own entity, and I'm really excited to see what happens next.